What fear is always, no exceptions, what fear is always indicating is that you're focused. You say, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's always in the moment about the subject that's on your mind. And what it always means is you have an opinion that is active right now. You've struck your tuning fork, so to speak, from something that you heard or something that you saw, something that you're thinking about, something that you're remembering, something that you're observing. It doesn't matter any of that. It only matters that you've struck the tuning fork, you're offering a frequency, and that frequency is out of alignment with the frequency of what you really know, what your inner being knows, what your inner being's opinion and perspective is about the same subject. So now we know that you've heard that from us on many occasions, and we know that you understand it. You said, I don't know where it's coming from because I was never like this. So let's just consider a little bit. A lot of people feel quite a lot of positive emotion because they are in an environment where the environment is demonstrating positive things to be observed. So when conditions are pleasing to you, it's not difficult to be pleased. The deliberate creation comes in when conditions that you may be remembering or noticing are not so pleasing, but you're able to calibrate, to focus, to be more deliberate about what you think about because you've practiced it, you've got some momentum going, the trend is there, so that you can bring yourself to good feeling thoughts anyway. That's what we call deliberate creation. So now we want to introduce into this specific conversation the difference between living a conditional love, which means I feel love, which means I'm in sync with my inner being. And it was easy to do because the conditions gave me something lovely or loving to observe. So it's nice that you feel love and loving as opposed to fear. But when you rely on conditions to be just right in order for you to feel it, now you can't go out into the world. Now you kind of have to hole up, as in our previous conversation, feeling guarded and afraid. Now, we think it is absolutely logical that with things happening around your world, COVID, lots of warnings about it, lots of shutdowns. So there is a less comfortable condition going on. Conditions that feel out of your control. Conditions that make it more necessary that you focus more deliberately. You can't just look around in a sort of default kind of attraction as you once could. Esther has been calibrating deliberately because their seminar schedule has now been established, and flights for Esther and her crew to arrive in these cities for these hotels have been set into place. And she's having some different thoughts than before. She didn't worry about flights being canceled. She often said, there are 10 to 15 of us traveling from city to city, year after year after year after year, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of flights. And every single time, we all got where we wanted to be. That was the story that she told. That was the story that she stuck to. That was the way that it was. But like you, today, that story is a little harder for her to tell because the circumstances or the conditions have changed. What does that mean? What does it mean when the conditions of your world make it more difficult for you to live conditional love? It means, good. Finally, you're going to learn to live unconditional love. You're going to find the vibration that sets your tuning fork or your point of attraction in a place that brings to you what you prefer. You're not going to offer one vibration and expect the universe to deliver to you something different than the vibration that you're offering. You chose this time of more contrast, more launching of more desires into your vortices, therefore more expansion, therefore more opportunity for satisfaction, because there's more opportunity to deliberately calibrate and align. If you've been listening to us for a while, you may have heard us say, we said it, have been saying it often, that quantum leaps, which is what so many of you think you want. I want a big jump. I want to jump into receiving millions of dollars a year or billions of dollars a year. Quantum leap. I want to go from this lifestyle to that lifestyle, and I want it to be sudden. And we've been teasing you, saying what you want is a big change in circumstances or conditions that you can then observe and feel better. But those quantum leaps are hard on you. They're very rare, and they rarely last, because practicing a vibrational frequency into a gradual understanding and maintenance of it is really what you came into this environment wanting to discover and to accomplish and to enjoy or feel satisfaction about. And so, is it easier to feel more fearful in these times where it seems that there's more upheaval? Even though there's not more upheaval, you certainly do have more access to the information about the upheaval. Even though there's not more upheaval, you certainly do have more information that makes you serve yourself well. If in times, moments, when you are not agitated by something, we're not fighting for your alignment, but it's coming more easily, such as during meditation or during making a list of positive aspects or in a rampage of appreciation. If you will practice feeling good as often as you can when it's easy, then you'll put yourself in some momentum or trending where it's easier for you. Esther still has knee-jerk responses to things every single day, but they don't last long because she doesn't want them to. Because like you, she understands her point of attraction. She gets it, that she is a walking around tuning fork that the law of attraction is responding to, and it's not ever going to be different from that. So it's not that you don't trust the world. It's that you don't trust yourself in the world. And you know what's at the basis of that? We're talking to all of you. You've been practicing unworthiness and then doubling down to explain it. You've been a part of a competitive environment that is so determined for there to always be a right and a wrong, and people who are sure they're right, which means they're sure you're wrong. And you all have been arguing and squabbling and debating to the point that you really believe that you must constantly be in a state of defensiveness in this world of upheaval. And that just is not true. The world can be in upheaval, but your point of attraction can be steady. But you have to know it, and you have to trust it, and you have to be willing to accept your worthiness enough that you love yourself in order to accomplish that shift in your common point of attraction. It's a big story, isn't it? How humans came to not trust each other, and in the process messed up their own point of attraction, so that the law of attraction brought them evidence that they had things to worry about. And when you understand that that's exactly and only how it works, observing a situation, not liking it, and maybe even having anticipated that it might come, and now you're so wanting to prove that you knew that was going to happen, that you double down on it now that it did happen, not having a clue that you're doubling down on it in your attempt to prove that you were right about anticipating it, has got your tuning fork vibrating in a way that the law of attraction is going to answer your vibration with things that match it. Did you hear that? In your unworthiness and therefore defensiveness in wanting to prove your rightness over wrongness, you hold yourself in a vibrational frequency of a defensive stance that attracts the very thing that you're trying to defend against. Those were a lot of perfect, vibrationally accurate words. We know that in many cases you heard it. We're never going to stop telling you this story about how the universe works, because you came knowing how it worked and wanting to do your work within it. You were worthy when you jumped in. It's time to reclaim that sense of worthiness that your inner being has never stopped offering as a vibrational frequency. So what is fear? What is the reason for that negative emotion? Your inner being knows you're solid, and when you look around and defend against not being, you deviate from the vibrational frequency of your inner being, and that's what the feeling of fear is. That's all. Deviation from who you were before you were born, who you still are, non-physically speaking, inner being speaking, who you still are, separating from the you in your vortex. Once you know that, don't beat up on yourself. Don't harass yourself when you feel fear. Don't be mean to yourself about it. Don't talk smack about yourself. I should be doing better. I should know better. Instead, lovingly acknowledge, my guidance